So that we translate this into a set of simple definitions of what we are talking about. The first thing that we are saying is education for enablement means giving people identities that are not self-limiting. You see, an identity which is functional is inherently self-limiting. Because tomorrow if there is something new to be done, you cannot do it. And this happens all the time. For example, you take simple example which we have come across is if you take people, people who take VRS in organizations, for example. Now you find at the age of 50 or they have been, for many years they have been an administrator or they have been an executive or a bank employee for 40 years, 20 years, 25 years. Suddenly at the age of 45 they are saying that 50 years, they are saying that no, you have to now do something new with your life. They have taken the money, but that's not enough. They say that's all fine, but I have to do something productive with myself. There is a search for a new identity. When that search for a new identity comes, this question actually comes up. I cannot be trapped by an earlier identity. I need a freedom space which says that I can actually be many things. I do not have to be one thing alone. So even if someone, due to their parental pressure or whatever, has become an engineer or a doctor, the person will have the courage to say that I don't want to be that tomorrow and be something else, experiment with something new, only if and only if that person does not have a self-limiting identity. Or let us take, for example, whole technologies undergo a change. For example, I have seen that in the software industry, for example, there are entire technologies, generations are completely rendered redundant because of changes that take place. When that happens, people have to reinvent themselves in a fast-changing society. When people are expected to reinvent themselves, if they are locked up in a limiting identity, then they are disabled. You see, that disablement you cannot see because it is sitting inside them. But when that occasion comes up, when that situation comes up where their identity is being questioned, a person is retiring. Just 2 days back, I met somebody who is a very, absolutely senior level person in a leading bank, and that person is going to retire in a month's time. And he was asking the same question. He was asking, now I am actually coming face to face with the question that when I am not such a high position in such a big bank, then what will people think of me and how do I talk to people? That means that question comes up. It will come up for people who are retiring, for VRS, for people who are finding changing technologies, all kinds of people. All of them, when they face that question, they should not be found disabled. And when are they disabled? When they have got a limiting identity. And if they are unlimited in their identity, if they are at a being level, then they are free to say, okay, that is what I was there, now I can be this tomorrow. I can take on a new role. I can become this. I can try out something else. So that freedom to become who you want to become only comes when you can operate at a being level. Therefore, this is the first and most fundamental form of enablement. That you have to enable people to be free to take on different identities and roles as society changes. And be free to actually grow themselves and to morph themselves depending on life. If they are themselves trapped in a particular internal mental form and shape and with a limited set of attributes, then they will be incapable at a very fundamental identity level of coping with any kind of response in the world. So this is the first kind of enablement we are talking about. Identity level enablement, which we have to give people. Give people the freedom to be who they want to be. The second thing that comes up is giving people enablement at a behavioral level. There is a person, he faces a day-to-day challenge, he is trapped in that situation, there is a habit level response. We actually, many years back we were doing some work with the police and we discovered this same issue, that there are, for example, in Mumbai alone, and this was at that point in time there were some 40,000 policemen in Bombay. They found out that on an average every day there are at least 5 altercations, 5 times where a policeman loses his temper with the public. On an average, which means that every day 2 lakhs to 2,50,000 interactions are taking place which are unpleasant all over Bombay. 250,000, 250,000 interactions are taking place, which are unpleasant fights all over Bombay in every single day. And as in each of those 250,000, we actually study it to see whether they are all very different from each other. They are not. They are the same pattern. That person is caught because he is driving without a license. Then that person says, show me your license. He says, do you know who I am? I am so and so on and so forth. They are all very standard responses. Or can't you see that that red light was not there, you can't see, so on and so forth. He loses his temper, it's your word versus mine. They're all standard challenges and standard responses. But what we found was that most of those reactions were instantaneous. They were repetitive. That means day after day, like that camel who goes on eating thorns, these policemen were eating the thorns every day and bleeding. And that is because of that instant reaction. There was no space for self-reflection. And then we actually studied and talked to some people who were not behaving like that. People who were extraordinarily different, who were highly regarded by their peers, policemen again. And when we asked them, they actually talked about that second state, where they said, no, I do very small things which actually help me respond to that situation. I'll give you two examples to show you what that response would be. For example, he says that some of those police people told us that when people come to them and they say, pocket, someone has stolen my wallet, or he said that my bag has been, stolen by somebody, my pocket has been picked. He says that normally in the police station, when you go there, first of all, there's a hubbub, there are a lot of people there, and he says, now this small thing, I do not know, that bus has gone, that fellow has, a pickpocket has gone somewhere, now don't trouble us, there are more serious matters. This fellow gets angry. And then there is a fight there. All that this man did was, he said, Acha, somebody who is standing there says, Acha, kahan hua? So he says, he just spends 30 seconds asking him what happened and where it happened. He says that in 30 seconds, that man knows that he can never find his wallet. You know that he can never find his wallet, but you are both very happy with each other because he has at least got it out to somebody. You see? So the whole point there is not that you have actually quantitatively transformed the situation, but qualitatively the situation has been transformed. It has moved from being a situation where there is a potential reaction to becoming a response. So like this, there are hundreds of responses every day. So the whole point is, enablement also means giving people that magic space of reflection in their day-to-day behavior. That little red and that magic space of reflection is that little freedom space that people need in the midst of life. There is, in that same office, lots of people are coming, that policeman is sitting there, lots of people are coming, there are standing in queue, people are getting impatient. At that time he can feel weighed in. The noise outside can get to him and crush him completely. He feels as if the water is actually flowing him away. He has no space to be himself. That red spot is actually saying that I'm going to give a small island which is your place. So our whole idea is to give people those little islands where they can sit quietly while the water, the torrent of life is going around them. And this is also enablement. So enablement also means giving people the space to respond. The first step, we talked about enablement, about giving people the identity space so that they can be who they want to be. But now we are also saying we must also give them that space to respond. So this gift of giving that space to respond is also enablement which we can provide. That's the second thing. Then there is a third thing about enablement, which is that people actually have an asset view of knowledge, which we have spoken of. Skills, concepts, information, degrees, qualifications, etc. These are all acquisitions. They are like so many possessions. I know this, I have this, I have finished this degree, I have done this. These are all so many possessions. The question is that do we actually have people take a contributional view of knowledge? I have learned this. What can I do with it? How can I make a difference to others with it? That question is never asked. It is never asked the question that, yes, even a simple thing like geography, we only know that this is the portion in geography, or this is the number of chapters to be studied, and this is what I have to learn, and this is what I have to acquire. But what can I do with that geography? How I can make a difference to myself, to my immediate environment, or to the society around me? That question is never asked, right? So the question of acquiring knowledge is very simple, but what difference I can make with that knowledge to others, to myself also, to my environment, to my family, to everybody, and to others outside, that question is never asked. And that is also a form of enablement. So there you are actually telling people that yes, you have this knowledge, but I am going to enable you by giving you the ability to understand how to use that knowledge, how to contribute with that knowledge, how to make that knowledge into an instrument for strengthening and expanding yourself. That question, and showing them the connection between these assets that we are giving them and how they can use these assets for life, living life better. That providing that input is also enabling. So that is the third form of enablement, which is to give people the power to use that knowledge effectively. If we deny that, what we will do is that we will give them a burden, we will give them an entire big heavy bag of knowledge which is potentially valuable. Let us be very, very clear that to sit down, and it is quite fashionable to say that, whatever we've been doing in our educational system is all ridiculous and not valuable. That's not quite true. Otherwise all of us also wouldn't be here talking about this topic. So it's not that it is that, let's not kind of write away everything that has happened. It is that knowledge exists with people, but can we also give them the little last bridge which says, how do I now use it most effectively, how do I use it to contribute? If they learn that bridge, then all this will be useful. It is like a reservoir of water is there. All I have to do is to create a pipeline and a tap so that I can then use that water for washing, I can use that water for bathing, I can use that water for whatever purpose I want to do. So that connection is what I am talking about, giving that connection to people, teaching them to build those connections, and where they do, at an early stage you give them the connection, at a later stage you teach them how to design and build it yourself. But that building, that pipeline is what we are talking about when we say we are enabling. So that is the third form of enabling. Giving people the capacity to contribute with knowledge. And fourth, and this is the most important if you ask me, is that to get people out of a victim mindset into a creator of my destiny mindset. In organizations, in schools, colleges, wherever we meet, in every conversation, you find that a significant proportion of people are actually in a victim mindset. They feel psychologically that they are trapped. They are locked up in history. They are locked up in memory. They are locked up in history. They are locked up in that reactive behavior that I spoke about. They are locked up in that process of life that they are there. But all that is outside them. But inside them, psychologically, they feel that things are out of their control. That they have no say. That they have no ability to influence. That they cannot really make a difference. That I would like to, but it's far beyond me. There is somebody out there who's far more powerful. There are big people out there who can make a difference. In one of the organizations that we are working for, we were actually having a conversation with a group of people who were deputy managing directors. And two of them in that room were managing directors of that organization. It's a large organization, so they have 5, 6 of them. Can you believe it? In that conversation, they talked about senior management. They said, yeah, but senior management has to decide. And for a minute, I got a little confused. I asked, who's senior management here? I thought you were senior management. You are deputy managing directors and managing directors. Can you believe it? Managing directors and deputy managing directors of a large organization, who people below them must be saying, oh, those people up there are all powerful. And these people are saying, someone above me is more powerful. That's a victim mindset. Because if somebody above me is going to be more powerful, that means that person has responsibility, that person is going to take all the decisions, others are not going to take it. That's also victim mindset. So I want to show you that this victim mindset is not restricted or limited to school children, or is not, in fact school children are less likely to be afflicted by this disease. But as you grow older, this disease takes hold of you. And by the time you reach college, you are already a proper victim of, you are already a proper psychological victim, and after that it's just a matter of strengthening that. And if you are a victim, you cannot contribute. If you are a victim, you will be trapped in reactive modes of mind. Therefore, all these four things, in a way, are all connected with each other. So, all these four areas which are there, the victim mindset, if you look at the reactive behavior, all of them are intertwined. They are all part of the same psychological state. And releasing people from that, releasing people into a world of imagination, of possibilities, releasing people into a world where they can actually make a difference, releasing people into a mode where they say, I am free to grow, I am free to think about and try to reflect about who I am. This is really what enablement is. If this is done, then we are going to talk about people who are going to be enabled to use knowledge and make a difference in society. Without this, we can improve our education system, we can improve comprehension of concepts. We might in fact make them extremely good in their subject matter, and probably they will get into all the IITs or whatever other institutes which are there. We test comprehension, we test understanding, we test conceptual mastery. I am sure that we'll have lots of people. Because I can assure you from our experience that just because somebody is from an IIT doesn't mean that he is free from a victim mindset. He may be brilliant academically, but he may still be a psychological victim when it comes to society and when it comes to the world around him. So this is really what things stand. So really, if we want to bring about change, if we want to really have a different society, we really need to do this. We need to bring about enablement at this level. So, keeping this in mind, keeping this background in mind, now let us kind of summarize and say that we have been saying that if we want being and to flow into function, when that happens, there are transformed identities, transformed behavior, transformed capacities, capacity to contribute, not just simply knowledge, and transformed mindsets, which is not a victim mindset but a contributive mindset. These four together is actually the product of enablement. So if we want education for enablement, we want human beings who have all of this. Along with this, with a little knowledge, they will produce a lot for us. And without this, with lots of degrees, with lots of knowledge, they will produce nothing for us other than their own self-interest and more scams. They will create more scams for us, but they will not create a better society for us. So this is our enablement gap. And this is really what we have to go out to bring about a change.